In addition to being a composer of over 300 songs, Karen Zila Hayes is a multimedia artist, a life coach specializing in vibrational alignment. She is the founder of Chakralosophy, a personal empowerment network that helps people create a three-dimensional, multi-sensory understanding of consciousness. Karen has also been developing her own intuitive skills since childhood, and it is her passion to help others channel their own intuitive, creative power. Now, this you don't know about Karen. Karen is also a trained mechanic. Yes, although she's never held a driver's license. And really, she knows absolutely nothing about cars. Her field is spiritual mechanics. See, I had you there. A technique which helps repair consciousness vehicles. When functioning properly, these vehicles, otherwise known as our bodies, will drive us smoothly into the state of gratitude, home of all that we are ready to receive. And so, put your hands together for Karen, and let's welcome her up to the stage.
And a little lube. Yeah. You know, last time, if you guys were here, you may remember that I sat on the bench because I'm not a very good stander-upper. And the whole night before, and even probably the week before I was supposed to do this talk, I was thinking, damn, if there was only a high stool in the place. And I had a stool at home. It was covered in paint. I actually considered bringing it in. I was like, damn, if there was only a high stool in the place. And then after I did the talk last time, we were driving home, I'm like, I've been sitting on a high stool for 5 years. 5 years I've been sitting on a high stool. Anyway, I'm sitting on one now. So, yes, I'm Karen. And many of you know me. I do a type of work called vibrational alignment. And the best way to sort of explain that to you is to say that when we have a shift in our belief system, which many of us are familiar with, we call that a shift in perspective. When we have a shift in consciousness, this is what is a vibrational shift. Now, the two are one and the same in the sense that you can't have one without the other, but they come from different parts of us. So we have two parts of us that are always working in tandem with each other. We have a personality self that has developed. This self operates on a linear trajectory. It is time-based. It perceives the world from birth to death in a very linear manner, past, present, and future. It is, if you will, the student of the universe. So personality linear, student. On the other side of us, we have the three-dimensional part of us that transmits the wisdom that is everywhere present. And so it teaches the other part of us, if we are willing, ready, and able, and have the tools to be able to be taught by that other part of us that is our authentic true self. So vibrational alignment is really a tool that allows the two selves to meet in the middle and work with each other. Today, I am so pleased to be talking about one of my favorite topics, gratitude. And as some of you know from the last time, if you were here, I made a bit of a difficult announcement, which is that I like to talk to the trees. And really, you know, I've been afraid to tell people that for a long time. But really, what I should have been more afraid of is saying that the trees talk back to me. That's a little bit more scary. But really, what I mean by that is that the trees and all of nature helps me to channel the energy of wisdom in terms of allowing me to zero in to the present now moment in a three-dimensional way, because that authentic self operates on a cyclical three-dimensional trajectory, because that is the way that the universe operates. The universe actually means the one song. I've been doing this work a long time, and I didn't know that, and when I found that out, it really put things together for me, because we live in a universe that is really basically a vibrational symphony. Every single thing that exists made of matter is scientifically singing to us, because in the system of electrons, and I don't know a lot about science, but there's a pattern that is the same pattern as what's in our DNA, as what's in our thought patterns, as actually relates to our chakra system and to the solar system. So there's a vibrational symphony, and how vibration translates is through sound, through light, and through animation. We talked last time about the chakra system and how we are really a beautiful, glowing, colorful rainbow. And by tuning into these aspects of ourselves is how we're able to begin to learn the tools to understand ourselves vibrationally and move into a place of deeper alignment. So today I was thinking about gratitude, and I've actually been thinking about it for several weeks now, ever since I found out that I'd be talking today. I've been doing meditations every chance I get. I like to do them when I'm on transit or when I'm going from place to place. And what I realized about that is that the movement that we're in when we're either walking or having the luxury of being transported by one of the lovely TTC buses is that we're metaphorically engaging in a flow. And really, I don't know if you know this, and I just discovered it recently, but the very worst thing we can do when we're stuck in a rut and trying to work our way out of it is to sit still, to stand still, to be still. Once we get ourselves moving, once we get our systems moving, it's a lot easier to understand the wisdom. Now, when I say that I channel and I work with the trees, I want y'all to understand that this is something that everyone has the ability to do, because this information is constantly coming to us. As I said before, there's a vibrational element to the universe that's actually made of vibration, and thought is carried through vibration as well. So think about that for a second. If it's a little shooey-wowie for you to think about the fact that the trees are speaking and everything, but really thought is carried through vibration. If everything is vibrating, it stands to reason, everything is talking. So the information is there for us all, and it's wonderful information, I have to tell you. So I've been doing these meditations on gratitude, and I love the concept of gratitude, and I've talked about it before, but whenever I do a new talk, I like to go back in and just ask and just open myself and just see what's coming, because I'm always learning and growing as I'm sharing, and I'm always reaching deeper levels of understanding about what I'm learning. So I've been in meditation for several weeks, and what I found out is, the trees are so verbose, and oh my God, now I have like a course worth, I have a year's worth of material on this topic, and I was trying to condense it into like a 25-minute talk for you was a little bit challenging, but I'm going to do my best. There are three fundamental ways that gratitude can work for us as a tool. Gratitude is it's one of the most powerful tools that we have in connecting to our vibrational power. Three ways in which gratitude can work for us on a primary level. Gratitude can shift us from a negative belief, a negative feeling, a negative vibration into a positive one through surrender. Gratitude has an element of surrender when we are working with it in this primary way in order to shift from something negative to something positive. In the second stage of gratitude, we learn to work with gratitude as a tool where we take something purely positive and we memorize and study our sensations, because our sensations, not our feelings, but our sensations represent the vibrational awareness that we carry. And when we can understand it, we can start to shift it and use it. Number 3 is really exciting. Number 3 is when we build upon number 2, which is taking something that exists in our life that's positive, that we're grateful for. Number 3 is visioning something that is not already present in our life from the personality's linear perspective, because from the universal 3-dimensional perspective, everything is already in our lives because it's 3-dimensional. But it's taking something that we want to vision. This is what we talk about here. This is treatment. This is affirmative prayer where we use gratitude. And you know, if any of you know treatment, step 4, gratitude, to use it to simulate. We become like a flight simulator where you're not actually up in the air, but you actually are, because the universe responds to a simulation of your vibration. Now, how exciting is that? Think about it for a second. It responds to a simulation of your vibration. So all we need to do is understand how to simulate the vibration of what we want to achieve. So let's get back to step 1 for a second. I'm going to tell you a little story about this level 1 of shifting from something negative into something positive. So I've been doing renovations on my home. It feels like I've been doing them forever. I spend a lot of time in the big box stores like Lowe's and Home Depot and Canadian Tire. And if any of you know, you can spend a lot of time in those places just trying to find people to help you, and they don't smell too good. There's no ventilation, and I have chemical sensitivities, and it's not my favorite place to be, but I gotta do it. So I do it. And the other day, my latest project is I bought a vintage chandelier, and I wanted to change the lighting and the socket and everything to make sure it was safe. So I'm traveling down there. I get down there, and there's not usually somebody in the department. Lo and behold, there was 2 people in the lighting department. They weren't working in the lighting department, though, so they knew nothing about lighting. But one of them was kind enough to say, I'm going to get you somebody right away. I'm going to get you someone in the lighting department. I'm like, excellent, great. She was so friendly and sweet. Took about 25 minutes, but I'm used to that. And the whole time I was practicing gratitude. I was like, the smells are really bad, but I don't care. I have nowhere really important to be. And it's okay because the ball has been set in motion. Someone is coming for me and everything is good. Somebody showed up about 25 minutes later. He was about 107 years old. And it took us another 20 minutes to walk to the socket department. He gave me a socket, and I'm smart. Like, I've learned my lesson over time because I'm a woman, and I try to describe things I need, and so I brought the thing with me so I could just say, this thing, I need a new one of this thing. And so he gave me a new one, and I looked at it, and it was just ever so slightly different on top than the old one. I said, does this matter? He said, no, because this is a new one that's a very old one, and it does the same thing, so you'll have no problem. I said, okay, great. You're the one. You've got a lot of wisdom in those 107 years. And he brings me to the wiring department. That was simple enough. Cuts me a new piece of wire, and about 45 minutes later, I'm trying to buy $5 worth of equipment. About 45 minutes later, I'm headed to the cash, and I'm happy. At the cash, my cashier is the same lovely woman who I met in the lighting department, who was so eager to get me someone to help me. And she's like, oh, did you get what you needed? Did everything work out? She was just so friendly. I said, yes, I did. Thank you so much. So I'm happy. I'm almost out of the store. She starts ringing me up. And the wiring is in a little bag. And a little SKU number has been written on the bag to indicate what type of wire it is so the computer can read it and charge me the proper amount. And she cannot read the number because it's been written by the 107-year-old man, and his penmanship went about 20 years ago probably, and she can't figure it out. She's trying every number that she can to figure out the number. She's got 4 people in the department trying to figure out the number. She's paged the guy, but he's 107 years old. He's not near his desk. He's probably walking to his desk. It's going to take him 4 hours to get there. So meanwhile, I'm just practicing my gratitude. And I had a moment at that point. It was just frustration was really beginning to well up in me. I was beginning to feel really frustrated because, it seems like a trivial thing, but in situations like that, when you lose control, when you have no control about when you're going to get out of a store, you can start to feel a little bit antsy. And so I just suppressed it. I just said, everything is fine. Look at how hard these people are working for me. Look at how many people are working for me right now for this $2 item. That's so beautiful. Anyway, Finally, one of the guys finds the proper number and, right on. So she punches it in. She says, that'll be $2.95. I said, but what about the socket? She looks down. I look down, and no one has used the cash since I've been there because they were in the middle of my transaction. The socket's gone. She says, hey, Joe, did you take the socket? And he's like, oh, yeah, I guess I thought it needed to be reshelved. But luckily, the socket's not far. It's about 20 feet away. He goes. Now, here's the scenario. I want you to picture this. The cashier is facing forward at her cash. Somebody calls her telephone. She's on the phone on her left side. I'm standing on her right side. The guy bringing the socket is on her left. And he starts walking. She sees that everything is coming together. She takes the phone call. And all of a sudden, about 2 paces in, the guy decides to say, hey, Lisa, think fast. And he hurls a ceramic and metal socket at her head. And it misses the phone and it hits her in the temple and she drops the phone, hand on the head, and walks away. Like it was a bad sitcom. It's like, I mean, I was like, it was humorous but sad at the same time. And she just walked, said nothing, dropped the phone, just walked into the distance. And I'm just, wow. I wanted to get mad at him. Part of me just wanted to, because probably the building frustration, the fumes, I was edgy. I just like, I wanted to say, what were you thinking? She wasn't even looking at you. I didn't say a thing. I was in my gratitude. I was like, well, at least the socket was found. He probably feels bad enough. It's okay. He said, okay, I'll help you with finishing your transaction. Great. So he starts punching it in. He says, that'll be $6. That seemed right. Now, he picked up the socket, and he was holding the socket, and before he takes my money, he looks at me. He goes, excuse me, ma'am. I'm not sure if you're aware, but your socket is broken. I said, I'm aware my socket is broken. You broke it when you hurled it at that woman's head. Like he's telling me that I brought a defective socket to the car. No, you broke it when you hurled it at a human being's head. Well, now I have a broken socket, and guess what? 20 more minutes later, they had to find me a new socket. Bob, the 107-year-old guy wasn't at his desk. Anyway, 20 minutes later, I get my new socket. The new socket, I took a look at it, because I just wanted to make sure. The store's not close to my house. I take a look at it. It's a little bit different on top than the broken one. I said to the guy, do you see how these are a little bit different here? Do you think that's going to be bad? He doesn't know. What am I asking the guy that hurled something at a person's head for? Anyway, I made the decision on my own. I said, okay, I'm sure it's probably going to be okay. I'm going to take it. I took it. I left. I got home. And it turned out that socket, the part that I was concerned about that was different from the initial broken socket, was the part that we actually needed to screw it in to the chandelier, and the first one that had been broken would not have worked. Interesting. So there I was, practicing the gratitude, came out with a wonderful story that I'll tell for another at least 25 years. Excuse me, are you aware that this is broken? Yeah. All right. Let's look at situation number 2. Let's look at the situation in which we want to start to use gratitude as a tool for us. So I'm going to take you, if you will, through a very short little meditation. I was trying to think about a topic and a subject matter that I could use that would have a very strong sense of universal gratitude for you all. And what I came up with is this. So I'd like you to close your eyes for a second with me. I'd like you to imagine that you're walking in a beautiful, beautiful forest, and the air is so exquisitely clean and scented with pine, and you reach that destination, and our city lungs just expand in the glory of that purity. And we're walking along, and we're taking a wonderful cyclical connective breath, which is the type of breath in which all we have to do is expand our body and contract our body. and allow, instead of pulling the air down, allow it in. Think of it in a three-dimensional way. As you open, you create ripples. And as you close, you also create ripples going out in 3 dimensions all around you. And now, as you take your next breath, I'd like you to add another trajectory, another cycle into that feeling. I'd like you to think about, instead of coming up and down on a string, I'd like you to think about coming up through the head in a cycle and down through the back of the body and up. So we're cycling in many different circular trajectories at the same time. And we're walking along in this forest, breathing this unbelievable air. And we're focused on the feeling in our body of gratitude for the simple act of breathing, the simple act of being able to easily and effortlessly draw in the breath of life that allows us to be, simply to be everything that we desire to be. And where we don't often think about the fact that we breathe, we take it for granted. In this moment, we are truly not taking it for granted. We are just reveling in the gratitude of this ability. And now as we walk through this forest, we broaden our perspective of gratitude to understand that these beautiful trees around us are the ones that are allowing us the ability to breathe. They are the ones that are purifying this air for us and allowing us to live on this planet. And so our gratitude extends not just for this breath of life, but into nature and into the trees themselves for giving us this wonderful gift and serving our planet in this way. Now just take a moment and examine what's going on in your body in terms of the sensations that you might be feeling and where you might be feeling them, and perhaps a color that might be associated with them. Just take a few minutes and enjoy this wonderful feeling. All right, I didn't mean to say a few minutes. We have to keep this moving. You know, it's funny. I was walking down the street yesterday thinking about what I was going to have you visualize to be grateful for. And the trees were like, excuse me. It's us. They're not a modest bunch. Anyway, so did you enjoy that? Did you have a feeling? Did you connect with something that was going on in your body? I hope so. It doesn't happen all at once. We need to practice. We need to learn the ability to actually do this. We need to learn how to decipher and read and create a vocabulary for these sensations. But once we do, we can move in to the third level of gratitude, which is to take these sensations and then simulate them about something that is not actually happening in terms of our linear perspective. Now, in order for us to do this, the question that I was called to ask when I was doing my meditations was, what is a really good and efficient way that I can use to give people cues and clues to understand the electrical current that is the vibration of gratitude, so that you can have a sense of how to start using it. And I'd just like to read you something about the solar plexus chakra, which is the third chakra up from the bottom, and it is the home of gratitude. Solar plexus chakra is associated with the color yellow. The personality, otherwise known as the ego, is housed in this chakra. This intuitive chakra is where we get our gut instinct that signals us to do or not to do something. It represents consciousness of self within the universe. It is also known as the power chakra. The digestive system is contained in the abdomen, where the solar plexus chakra is located. Just as the physical digestive system transmutes and extracts energy from food, so this plexus chakra extracts and stores chi, or prana, which is the life force energy that permeates all things. Each of the chakras is a center for life force energy, but it is generated and distributed by the solar plexus. The solar plexus is fed by the energy of gratitude, which is a powerful kind of surrender. The heart opens to love. The heart chakra is the one directly above. The power chakra responds to gratitude. Apply gratitude to any problem, no matter what kind, and your perceptions about the problem will change. You will begin to get deeper insights into the situation that you cannot possibly see when you are stuck in resistance. So I was thinking about this. I mean, I've written a number of songs which are, I find that the songs are such wonderful, wonderful vehicles of communicating wisdom. I read these lyrics like I'm not the one that's written them, and I read them and I'm really taught by them. And I've written many things about gratitude through my songs and touched on this understanding, but it hit me in a very different way in the last few weeks. Gratitude is housed in the yellow chakra, which is a bright, golden, shining yellow ball in our system, solar plexus, solar system. What is it? It's the sun. No, gratitude is like the sun. Think about when you're walking in the sun. Think about the sensation of experiencing the sun after a long winter. Think about, I'm not even a sun lover, but you can't deny that warmth that permeates your whole body, and you close your eyes and you feel yourself lighting up, and it's the most amazing vibrational sensation. This is the sensation of vibrational gratitude. And what else does the sun do? The sun makes things grow. The sun takes a seed. The sun takes the vibrational desire of something, the simulation, the seed, and makes it grow into the actual real thing. The sun, the gratitude, makes things grow. I fell to my knees in my mind. I was on a bus, so I couldn't actually do it. When I had that revelation. Think about walking in the sun with your dreams and desires and goals, and how powerful that would be. Think about that feeling next time you're in the sun. Memorize that feeling, because that is a very powerful feeling for you. Now, I was called to do some other thinking, just bombarded with wonderful thoughts about gratitude. And the other day, I was on a bus again, and I had another really, really profound revelation. A thought popped into my head, a question to me said, what are you allowing? What are you receiving in the moment of gratitude? What are you receiving? Gratitude is thanks. Gratitude is about thanksgiving. What are you receiving in the moment of thanks? What are you receiving in the moment of gratitude? And all of a sudden, it hit me that gratitude is receiving. Gratitude is giving, but gratitude is also receiving. And it's in the receiving, it's in being an open vehicle and receptacle for this imprint that we've created into the universe. Gratitude physically opens us up in this area of the solar plexus. It rotates clockwise. It opens us up. It vibrates. It's like our vessel is opening in gratitude. And what are we receiving? It's like when we're breathing, when we expand, what are we receiving? We are receiving in the moment of opening. We are receiving the life force. Gratitude is receiving. And I know it's a big problem in society today, at least North American society, where we feel we're a society of givers. And you hear a lot of people say, oh, I give, and I just don't know how to receive, or I just feel drained by my giving, right? I mean, I've understood on one level, I've understood the concept that giving and receiving are two sides of the same coin, right? But still, I was stuck a little bit in the linear framework of things, thinking about it like, well, when I give, then I receive. I give and I receive. No, there is no and. So you see, there is no and. The opening is the receiving. And this again is another key that we can use to study and to learn about and to shift our perspective so that we can shift our vibrational consciousness. Let's look for a moment at treatment. Okay? Let's look at the steps of treatment. You know, it's rumored that the trees invented treatment. I have a lot of puns. I won't get into them. So treatment, the 5 steps of treatment. Recognition, we recognize that all are one. We recognize rather that there's a force that is called the universe. In step 2, we unify with that state. We recognize that we're a part of everything. We're a part of this force, this power. Step 3 is where we create the vibrational imprint of what it is we want to achieve by speaking about it in the present tense. And step 4 is gratitude. Now, have you ever wondered, those of you that are familiar with treatment, have you ever wondered why it's gratitude? Why it's not just projecting joy? Why it's not projecting love? Why it's not projecting peace? Why is it gratitude? Well, peace, love, and joy, they are non-dualistic notions. In other words, the reason that the heart chakra responds to love, the heart doesn't know the difference. The heart is more connected to our spiritual realm. There is no opposite to love. Love is all present everywhere. But gratitude, there is an opposite to gratitude. There is the giving and the receiving. It's a cyclical function. It's a function that links our personality linear self with the universe. That's why it's right there, and that's why it's this primary mechanism and tool for us. The reason that gratitude is the 4th step is because that is the thing that physically allows us to open and receive. Gratitude, think about it, step 4 is receiving it. Yes, being thankful for it. Step 4 is receiving it. We can't have it if we are not ready to allow ourselves to receive it. Step 5, just let it go. I want to finish up with a little story. Very, very powerful story that I heard Greg Braden tell. Any of you familiar with Greg Braden? Greg Braden is a wonderful, wonderful man who speaks on the subject of spirituality from a scientific perspective. This is very wonderful because he creates a great bridge for people that have skepticism. He told a story and he showed a video about a place somewhere in a secret location somewhere in Asia where there are doctors that were curing with 100% accuracy terminal cancer patients, people that had nowhere else to go, weeks only to live. Some of the lucky ones, I don't know how they found out about this place, and the reason it's secret is because it would be completely bombarded if it wasn't. So he was able to go there, and he did a little film, and what he filmed, there was a woman with a tumor somewhere in her midsection, and they took an image of it, ultrasound image of it. It was a huge tumor. And then they freeze framed that photo of the tumor, which was in her in real time. And then these doctors came to her and they chanted over her for a few minutes. And he filmed this as we watched the real-time ultrasound shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking the tumor. It was miraculous. I mean, there are people that will say, well, that had to be doctored. It can't be real. I don't agree with that. And then the most interesting thing is that he asked the doctors afterwards, said, well, what were you chanting about in this process? And they said, we were chanting about our gratitude at her having been healed. Not the gratitude for her healing, the gratitude for her having been healed. Through that chant, they created a vibrational imprint of her wellness, her having been healed. Very interesting. Greg Braden spoke about this for about 5 years, and perhaps there's some level of skepticism that was somewhere deep within him because of the route that he took in terms of really creating tangible scientific proof in the work that he does. But he told the story. He said he showed this video for about 5 years. Maybe there was a little piece of him that couldn't quite believe it. And after 5 years, he found that he himself was diagnosed with some sort of an undesirable mass in his midsection. So he went to the doctors, traditional doctors, Western medicine doctors, and they said, well, we detect something. We need to open you up to see what it is. We can't tell you for sure what it is till we get in there and see it. He said, okay, would you give me a week? They said, okay. He went to the clinic himself, and he had the treatment done to himself before he went to the doctors. And when the doctors opened him up, they said, we're kind of not really sure why, but there's nothing in you now. And the way he told the story was that there was maybe a little part of him, like 99% of him believed that it was possible to do this, but maybe there was a small seed in him that was still, even though he was speaking it to the world, sharing this, and maybe there's a small part of him that didn't quite believe how powerful we are. So he had to prove it to himself. And that about wraps up my time. I made sure that I didn't go over this time, because I hate it when people go over when I'm sitting over there. So we're going to do something just a little bit different now. I'm going to go over there. And in commemoration of the three-dimensional nature of reality that really is the real nature of reality, what we're going to do is, you know how we normally do, we do a closing treatment, and then we do a song from the book, and you may have noticed I didn't do a song today myself. Well, what we're going to do now in honor of the three-dimensional perspective is we're going to do all three in one by doing a song that I've written myself that is actually in the book as a congregational and that is a treatment. This song is number... Oh, thank... Oh, oh, whoa, whoa. Okay, go into this microphone. This song is number 58B in your book. Yeah, and you can stand.